Okay, we're here with the final two. We're going to do a look back on the season. Since Eddie won the final three competition, we'll let him go first. And the first member eliminated was Jacob.
I actually liked Jacob. I was so bored at work that day he went home, and I was just sitting in the back room texting Jacob all day, knowing he was going home all day. But he was so fun to talk to just because he talked to me about music, and you know, if you talk to me about music, you can talk to me about anything. So, love Jacob.
And Patrick, you were also on a Ludus with Jacob.
Yes.
And you tried to save Jacob.
I did, and it did not go well. I like Jacob, and that seemed to be my stance for the season is always be on the wrong side of votes. But no, I like Jacob. I think he was like a cool guy, and unfortunately, he went I think a little too early for us to really develop a friendship. But I can't wait to talk to him outside of this, and he just seemed like a really nice guy, and it sucks that he went first.
The next person you may not have much to say because you guys, neither one were on a Ludus with Robbie. So I don't know if any of your fellow challengers had anything to say about him or not.
I never knew him.
Neither did I, but hey, Robbie.
Love you, Robbie. Thanks for being a part of the season, sis.
You seem cool, man.
It's his first org, so Robbie, if you want tips in the alumni chat, I'm sure the final two will give you some tips. You always need new org.
This was his first org, and he got first boot, basically.
Yeah. He actually had to work the entire day, so by the time he came home, he was already the vote. He got voted out before he even got to play, unfortunately.
That sucks.
Yeah, it was a rough one. He actually changed his Skype image to a clown, so we had a good time in the alumni chat.
Okay. Good.
That's fun.
Okay, next was the other Patrick, which actually makes it a little easier for production because it took us down to one Patrick.
Patrick seems a good character, and the funny thing I have to say about Patrick S is that I thought this Patrick was Patrick S at first, so I was like, I don't want to talk to Patrick. But then I found out it was this Patrick, so yeah.
Yeah, I think I had maybe like one conversation with Patrick, other Patrick, or maybe I didn't. But his picture of him shirtless is just an absolute power move, and hell yeah, man.
Okay, then we moved to Billy, which was the first big shakeup of the game. That round was pretty fast paced, and I think it took a lot of people by surprise.
I feel like I've said bad things about everyone, but I hated Billy at the beginning. I could not stand him after the night one call. He was so loud, and I just had a long day at work, and I was tired, and I was sitting there, palms shaking, holding up my fucking ping pong ball with my solo cups, and he just would not stop talking. But Billy's probably a good person. That's just me being a bitch. And I'm sure a lot of people know him. I've heard a lot about him. So hats off to Billy because you leaving kind of saved Rocky, which helped me, obviously, in the long run. So good game, Billy.
Yeah, Billy, I had a few conversations with, and I think he was one of the first people that reached out to me and started talking. We didn't really talk too much game because it was like he left pretty early on. I was very surprised that he left that early, just because he seemed like he knew what he was talking about all the time. And so, I mean, apparently not, but like he seemed like a really nice guy, and that was the first time I was like, oh, I didn't see that coming. But Billy, hey man, you played a great game. My hat's off to you.
Power move round one.
That was
your little Emperor Steel, Billy. Okay.
So the next vote out was kind of a last minute change too. Michael, our European challenger, went out in the live night. He was pretty close to winning individual immunity that round as well.
Michael was fun, but at the end of the day, I knew it was me or Michael, so that's kind of why I was glad Michael went home, especially because I wasn't there for the live night. I was at work all night. But Michael seemed fun, and he tried to have his little pop-off moment. He had his TV moment with that, Austin played on me. But, yeah, he had a couple moments. Michael was a hoot.
Didn't really talk a lot to Michael. But yeah, he seemed like a nice guy. I'm looking at the jury right now, and this is like Michael's like the last person that I'm like, yeah, I didn't really talk to you. So, Michael, good job. Good.
The next live night casualty actually blindsided even production. We were convinced a twin was going home. You got outed earlier in the day. And Logan was aware, but Patrick was not aware. The very, very clear plan was whichever twin doesn't win is going home. So I'll let Eddie talk a little bit about Allie, and then I'll let Patrick talk a little bit about how that night went.
Not now. Not now. Not now. I never really talked to Allie. Once I started talking to Austin around the Michael boot was when he was like, hey, reach out to Allie because I'm cool with Allie. So that's when I first started talking to her, but like literally the round after she got booted. So I never really had a relationship with Allie, but she seems like a nice girl. Patrick, you can pop off.
Oh my God. Well, that day was so crazy. And that's when I was like, oh, this is like getting real. And Jess put in, when she put in the chat was blowing up, and I was walking back to my dorm, and I opened it, and I saw a voice message, and I remember from Jess, and I was like, oh, that's weird. You can send voice messages? That's cool. And then under it was an Instagram picture of me, Duke, and Logan together, and I was like, oh, shit. And then I listened to the voice message. She was like, hello, is production. I don't know. She's British, right? Is Jess British?
Yeah.
Yeah. She's like, I don't know if there's like a twin twist or you didn't want us to know, but I think she said she's like Sherlock Holmes or something. And I was like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. And then I was like, okay. Let me panic. And then Logan popped off out of nowhere. Didn't consult me that he was going to do that. So, I mean, I texted Logan. I was like, oh, shit, man. And then he said that whole paragraph. And so going into that night, I was like, okay, I got to win because I'm in a very weird spot. And Logan didn't tell me that there was a plan to get one of us out. So, I mean, I kind of like assumed like I was a big target, but I was kind of trying to play it off like, oh, guys, it's no big deal. Like, so what? And during the challenge, it was like me and Logan were last people standing. I was like, okay, cool. Like, one of us will be safe. And because Logan had popped off on Jess, I was like, okay, he's like the number one target, so I'll stop. And so I pulled off, and Logan won. I was like, hey, man, congrats. Like, good job. And he's like, oh, you're going home. And I was like, what? What do you mean? And he's like, yeah, they're going to vote to evict you. And then we got onto the call, and I was pleading with Adam and RJ. And I was like, guys, please keep me. You can use me. Allie doesn't really do anything. And like, I kind of threw her under the bus, like, not to be a dick, but I was like, it was me or her. And I competed a few times with Allie, and we absolutely got destroyed in the one competition that we competed in. And Logan was not too happy about that because she was the first person and she had absolutely nothing. But Allie, you are extremely nice. I'm sorry that it came down to you. It was a pretty, like, looking back on it, it's really funny for me because I'm here. But Allie, you are super nice and you did play a good game. I'm sorry that it came down to that. But yeah, I mean, that night was just absolutely insane. And that's when I was like, okay, time to start playing. Here we go. All right, time to. And so, Allie, again, great job. You know, I had a fun competing with you, and you were a very good player. So I'm sorry again. But.
And Jess, even though she was called Fake Franny, was a Sherlock Holmes because she was on to you round one.
Yeah, I mean,
once you shaved for the wedding, it was over.
Yeah.
But round one, she's like, is it just because they're both white guys, or?
Yeah, I mean, me and Logan have identical teeth. So, like, whenever I, like, my picture is me smiling, and if anybody would have saw Logan smile, it's like, oh, hold on, they have like identical.
That's how I put it together. In the nose.
And yeah, so I was surprised that it took that long, but like in hindsight, I probably shouldn't have shaved. But I mean, Jess, we'll get to Jess eventually.
I think it would have not lasted as long as it did, but Jess wasn't as active. Once you guys were all in a tribe together with Jess, and you were all together with Jess, it was over.
I thought that maybe me wearing glasses would help, but I don't know why I thought that, but
hat and glasses and beard, and still she knew you were the same person.
So, but again, Allie was a great competitor, and it just sucks the way she went out. But again, Allie, my hat's off to you again. Great player. So.
Well, we're going to go to RJ, and you'll start seeing a theme a little bit in this game. RJ stuck his neck out to save you guys. And the next round, that bit him in the butt. And RJ said he wasn't ever safe in this game, but he really thought that he had the votes that round.
RJ, so once I started paying full attention to this game, my first 2 calls were with Austin and RJ. So that's who kind of became my first 2 allies in this game. RJ told me a lot of information to catch me up on everything. So I really trusted RJ. But that round, when he went and told Devin right away that we threw out his name, that kind of backfired on him because Austin was Austin and made RJ the name.
Yeah, so I owe RJ like my life in this game. I probably wouldn't be here if RJ and Devin didn't, keep me. And that was like a split, and Adam too, a split decision. But going into that round, it was like known that RJ came to me with this plan that we're gonna get out Austin without him knowing. He's a huge threat. He has all these powers. Him and JG are a couple. All this information came to, and I wasn't there at the live because I was in New York. But so he was like, "Listen, it's perfect. We have the votes. Like, don't worry about it." And I said, "Okay, sounds good. As long as I'm not going home, I don't really care." So he was like, "Vote Austin." So this is the one out of many times that I've voted to evict Austin, and he has not gone home. So I text Logan and I let him know what's happening. I'm like, "Hey, this is the way the vote's going. It's Austin." And so I vote to evict Austin. Comes back, RJ left, and that's another moment where I'm like, "You gotta be fucking kidding me!" Like RJ leaving was not good, but I liked RJ a lot. He basically saved me in this game. It was a good plan. It was just like if we could do it more convincing, that would have been a really good move. Fortunately, it didn't pan out. But again, I owe RJ a lot in this game. So that's what I have to say about that.
Yeah, RJ was semi-robbed, I would say.
Yeah.
We're gonna move to someone else who the survey said was also robbed right before jury. Logan was so close to making that magic moment that I think Patrick can talk a little bit about. His first game as a twin and season 1's winner, and just missed jury. So let's talk about Logan.
I actually loved Logan. I always wanted to work with Logan. I would always try and hit him up, but he always had too much to do for me. But then we kind of started talking towards the end of his game, and I was excited to work with him. I did want to work with him in Austin, but at that point, I was kind of just on cruise control, and Austin was steering the ship to vote out Logan, so I just kind of went with it. But I am kind of sad I didn't get to work with Logan more. But now I'm sitting here with Patrick, so.
Yeah, Logan, obviously, he's all right, No, I love Logan. And coming into this and doing this, we were both very excited. I don't think we realized how intense the game was. I think me and him had similar things where it was like, between schoolwork and rehearsals, it's tough to play this game. but I think he wasn't afraid to get. I mean, the whole thing with Jess, it was he wasn't afraid to pop off. He wasn't afraid to tell somebody how it is, and that's the growing up with him. It was the same way. He'll call you out on your bullshit all the time, and so.
And that's how it should be.
And that's how it should be. I mean, like that's how if I'm not matching, he's gonna let me know how stupid I look all the time. But even in the game, as much as like the twin twist was like supposed to be this big thing, it was like we didn't really talk that much game. We basically just said, "Hey, this is who I'm cool with. This is who you're cool with. Because I wanted to form an alliance straight up with like Logan. Let's like create this powerful thing." And he was like, "Nope, we're not going to do that." And he's like, "We're going to play 2 separate games, and then we'll constantly like if our names are put out." And I think it was a better strategy. It sucks that he went right before jury because that would have been really helpful. But I think that if Logan continues to play games like this, I think he's going to do extremely well. I think he's a very social player. I think he's a very good player. He's a very good competitor, obviously, and I love him. So.
And what you guys didn't know, and I think maybe Patrick has put together by now, if Logan had literally made it right through that vote, both twins would have received a half idol.
Yeah.
So you really saved yourself there as a group because they would have been a little bit more powerful.
Yeah, and
they would have at least been, and they would have also had an idol had they combined. So that was the only pro. And if they made it to the end together, they also both would have won the prize.
Then
so,
toodaloo, I guess.
I guess we have to. And it's also funny because when we were going into this and we were like coming up with our names and talking to Duke about it, he was like, "Logan's gonna go way farther than you." And I said, "Really? You think?" And he's like, "I don't know. I feel like he's a very like dangerous, and he is. He's a very social player." But it was like Duke and my mom were both like, "Yeah, I can see this is Logan's setting," and I was like, "Okay, yeah."
And Duke also said Patrick will never cut Logan, but Logan will cut Patrick in a heartbeat.
Absolutely, I completely. I mean, when I threw he'll say, "No, you didn't throw that." I threw that competition when it was me and him because I thought that because that's the kind of guy like I'm gonna always look out for Logan, but he didn't tell me about this goddamn plan. He could have hopped on a text
to look out for Logan too.
Like if he would have told me that plan that like I'm the one who's gonna go home, I wouldn't have thrown it. But he knew that, so Logan's definitely like, love him. But I completely agree with that statement.
Okay, we are moving to the jury now. Our first member of the jury, very excited member of the jury, was Shawnee.
I love Shawnee. I did not know how to feel about Shawnee going into this game, just because of some things I've heard about him, and he was also in that sequester mini that me and Duke played together, Patrick. So I don't know. I just didn't know how to feel about him. But once I actually had a call with him and just like kind of got to know him, we related on like tanning stuff, and tanning is my life right now. So I love Shawnee as a person now. I think he was kind of robbed too because he was kind of the head of the snake for a while. But I think that's when Rocky started to emerge. But Shawnee is a really good game player, and I'm kind of glad he went when he did.
So Shawnee, for me, I didn't talk a lot. I think I talked to him once or twice, just because we were always put on different Ludices, and me having the worst social game of the season, I just me and him didn't really talk a lot of game, but I wasn't really on the side that he was when everything was going down. But kid's got a killer smile, and he seems really nice. And he seems like he knows what he's talking about with these games. And, I definitely think that I would have, if I could do it over, I'd reach out to him a little bit more and talk to him about, the process of playing the game and, his take on things. Because he seems like a really, really strong player and a really good player and somebody you can easily talk to. But yeah, so.
Then we move to the second of our 3 females of the season, Jess. It was all small blindside.
Jess is obviously my best friend. Sorry, Jess, that I literally passed out high and I didn't submit a vote that round. Yikes on my part. But I don't know. I love Jess so much as a friend. I just knew with the way that she was popping off all the time, it was going to bite her in the ass eventually. And so it did. I love her. But she's definitely a main character. I would put her on the DVD cover.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have any hard feelings against Jess and everything that happened. I think her doing that, exposing me and Logan, and she's good for Ascendance. Like that, her and I think Emily too are two very unique characters that bring a lot to the game. And although it's mainly drama, I think that they both, and Jess especially, she played a very good game, and she wasn't afraid to, and I respect that in a person that they're not afraid to call you out and be that person. She was definitely my number one target after the whole, after Logan got evicted and when she exposed us. I obviously wasn't happy about that, but I still I liked competing with her. I think she was extremely funny. I think she's a very good player, and again, I respect the no, I don't care, kind of like I'm gonna do whatever it takes attack method, and I respect it, and I hopefully she'll be back. There's an all-star season. If Jess isn't in it, then I don't know what's happening. So
And the thing is with Jess is you think she's not taking it serious, but she always is taking it
yeah,
seriously. Um, and she always demanded what she wanted, and I think a lot of the time she got what she wanted.
yeah, and that's just like one of those things where it's like, although I was definitely not obviously I was on the opposite side of Jess. It was always that like game recognizes game kind of relationship, and I'm willing to Jess, that you played a good game, and I really really enjoyed just the popping off. Like I love that. So Jess is a very good player, and she made this season very very fun.
And then we go to our last female standing, back-to-back girls. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
She was definitely another blindside for the season.
Emily was an iconic vote. Leave it to Emily to get taken out on a split vote once again. Um, but Emily is just always entertainment. I think she definitely added a dynamic that a lot of us would not usually see. Her entire Mexico fiasco was a sight to behold, and I'm kind of glad I was able to develop a relationship with her after Jess left, because it was always like Jess, and then it was me and Emily. But then me and Emily finally got to be like, oh my god, we're all alone, like we're together, and yeah. And then I will never forget the night that we called Ben, and she was like flashing her tits to us and Ben. It was a good time. Cheers to Emily.
Yeah, Ben kept saying, "Are you seeing this?" And I'm like, it this is not doing the same thing for me as it is for you. Patrick was also there that night.
Yeah, I wish I could be on that call. God damn. No, I mean Emily didn't know I was playing the game. She thought I was a part of production. Um, so that there's that. But again, the one interaction that I had with her was the results of one of the competitions, and she was in Mexico, and she was just an absolute savage, and I loved it. She was just having the time of her life, and I was like, okay, she called me hot, so I was like, okay, thank you. I don't really know what to do with that, but again, I think Eddie said it better than anyone. She definitely brought a big personality and a big dynamic to the game, which is always entertaining to not only the players but the viewers. And I think she's definitely, yeah, she was just pure entertainment. And she was also like, I just don't know her game just because I didn't talk game with her. Her getting blindsided was not the plan at all. That whole vote put me in a really bad position because I didn't view Emily as a threat personally. I just think, I don't know why that it came down to her. I think that was a huge blindside. I don't think that was a good game move on
Period.
on Adam's move, and we'll get to that eventually. But so yeah, I think that whole night that she went home was absolute insanity. I was getting pinned as the flip vote, and Rocky was attacking me, and it was just like her going home was
That
not
was a fun night.
That was
It was a fun night.
That was probably, I was up till I think 1:30 talking to everybody.
Same.
It was just bizarre. So, but again, Emily, I hope you had fun in Mexico, and I think that you shouldn't have gone home when you did. It's unfortunate. That wasn't me. So, best of luck to you and more trips to Mexico. So,
last thing I want to say is, if you think Jess speaks her mind, Emily actually speaks her mind. So that's the last thing I need to say.
Speaking of a good move on Adam's part, Adam was the next to go. There was a lot of scrambling, trying to figure out who flipped, which is a classic line in Ascendance. Who flipped, who voted where. Adam was not at his own elimination.
Yeah.
That's what I can say about Adam.
Adam was, I don't know, Adam was the variable to me, and that's why I felt that Adam needed to go that round. And I think that was just a moment we will all behold, is when JG and Austin whip out their shields and they have no votes against them. Not even Adam's. So, but yeah, Adam's blindside was a good Ascendance TV moment. A great Ascendance TV moment.
I agree.
I could not agree more. So when Emily left, I was being pinned as the person who flipped. I wasn't there for her elimination, and so I got out of rehearsal. I checked all my messages, and there's voice messages from Rocky saying, "You flipped. You told Devin all this information. This wasn't the plan. What's the deal?" And I was like, whoa. So I sat down, got my headphones. I said, okay, I'm going to call every single person that was a part of this plan to get out Austin. And this is, again, the third time I've voted against Austin, and he hasn't gone on. So I'm not in a good position with Austin and JG, and they think we're cool. And now it's coming out that somebody flipped. So now I look like the flip vote. I'm the number one target. And so I call. Adam was the first person I called. He was telling me, hey, yeah, this is crazy, dude. Rocky definitely flipped. And I was like, really, you think? And he's like, he's really mad at me. I don't know why. I mean, unless this is a crazy, crazy strategic move on his, it makes absolutely no sense to get Emily out because she's been in Mexico. Why? She's not a target. Why is this? And so he's trying to convince me that it's Rocky. And he's like, well, and I was like, yeah, it just sucks because I'm in a really crappy position with Austin and JG. He's like, you know what? Maybe you should lie and say that you're the one who flipped. So that you're good with Austin and JG. And I was like, what? Why? So that's my first alarm where I was like, oh yeah, maybe I gotta think about it. I got on a call with everybody else. I was like, it's Adam flipped. So that was basically, I think that was a huge game move for me, was pinning that on. I don't know, because we obviously don't know the votes, and I did not flip, but pinning it on Adam and convincing everybody that was Adam, and then making that 5-person alliance was obviously a huge move, and then deciding, when I was thinking about it, I was like, okay, it doesn't make any sense for us to split between, because everybody knew that Austin and GG collectively at least had one shield. I don't think anybody knew that they both. I don't know. I didn't know they had two, but there was a rumor that they did have two, and so the plan was, why are we gonna let's just try to fish them out. And so the plan was, let's all go against Austin because he's a liar. We'll fish out their idols, and then it's completely even. We have the majority going in. It's 5 against 2, and it couldn't have worked any better. They both played their shields. Adam went home, and it literally could not have gone any better. I mean, I like Adam. What?
That was beautiful. Just that entire.
Yeah, it was just that was like probably one of the only moments in this game that something's gone my way. So it was honestly like a perfect move, completely well executed by everybody in the alliance. And yeah, other than that, Adam, I think he was a smart player. I think what he tried to do was smart. I don't understand why he would flip on Emily. I don't get it. But that's the game. So Adam, you're a great player, but you know what? It's better to you than me.
Well, speaking of that whole thing to try to get Austin and JG to play actually 2 shields, the next round then that did end up biting Austin when JG won individual immunity. JG had kind of been the target, it sounded like, for several rounds. If you guys could have took one of them out, JG was the one you wanted to take out. But Austin ended up being the first of the couple to go.
And that's his own damn fault. I told him, save your shield. I even went against the 5, but Patrick probably doesn't know this, but I said, hey, they're not voting for you. Even though they're telling you they're voting for you, don't play it. And he didn't believe me, and he played it. And if he would have saved it like I told him to, he would have been safe that round, and JG probably would have gone the following round before him. So if JG didn't win, obviously. So I think he should have put more trust into people instead of always looking out for himself. But Austin is just Austin. Like, honestly, to me, this was the Austin show. And I think he had a major role in a lot of what happened this season. Hence the superlatives that we had in the Touchy Subjects Challenge. And I just think Austin is Austin. My first ally in this game, but he was everyone's ally. Blowing up at him in the house chat, getting huge fights with Jess in the house chat. It was all a mess, but honestly, it was all fun at the end of the day. Now that I look back at it, like, I look back and I fucking laugh. I'm happy because it was a funny moment.
Yeah, I mean, Eddie has again done a great job of summing up my feelings towards Austin. I think he's just, I competed with him a few times, and I always really liked Austin and JG personally. It was just they were the biggest threats in the game. In my mind, Austin and JG, when it came out that they were a couple and they had these powers, and the whole blow up and couldn't have come at a more perfect time for me personally, just because everything with I'm a twin, and Logan left, and now target on my back, and then it shifts to Austin and JG, and I could not have asked for a better situation. So I thank them for that. They didn't really do that, but I think Austin is a really good player, and I think similar to what Eddie said, I think he had a lot to do with a lot of what I think he played a little too hard, and it got him in the end. So, Austin, he's a really good player. But I was always straight up with him, too, towards the end, where I was like, hey, I'm not going to vote with you. I'm voting against you. And he just went on this whole rant about, hey, I don't know if that's a good idea. But it was like, Austin, I'm sorry, man. It's you. So, unfortunately, he went. He was a really good competitor. But, I had to do what I had to do. And, that's that.
Then, surprisingly, back to back, the other part of the couple went as soon as JG did not have a shield or immunity. What you tried to accomplish for several rounds happened back to back.
I personally never really had a relationship with JG. My relationship was always with Austin. Um, I I don't know. I would talk to him here and there, but I knew JG was a good player, and I knew he was going to be a target for me sooner or later. So I never really wanted to develop a relationship with him. Um, but JG's a nice guy, and he means well, obviously. And I think more people should have listened to him. Um, yeah.
Yeah. I think. Hello. I'm gonna. I just like set up someplace else, but I will continue to talk. I think that GG was a very very good player. Hold on. Sorry, I gotta find a different spot.
Intermission.
But JG was an extremely. I really, really liked JG. I really liked competing with him. He was an absolute animal at almost every competition. Um, but he was that other person where if it got down to it, better him than me, and people viewed him as a threat, and I kind of used that to just lay the target off me and just put it onto him. And he is a really, really, really good competitor and a really, really nice guy. And I really like talking to him and getting to know him. And even with the elimination, I thought he had another shield. That literally, I almost pissed myself because I thought for a second he was like, I have a shield. And then I'm so glad we went through with what we did. But there was, oh God, it's so dark in here. Oh God. But there was, if he pulls off, if somebody flips or somebody doesn't believe it, this kid's a genius. And I think he's a really, really smart player. I think he's a really good player. But again, that's another situation where better you than me. And I think in these games, I don't know how many games he's played like this, but I think he can go far in a lot of these things. But I did really enjoy getting to know JG and playing with him.
Patrick, do you get a lot of ass?
I don't.
You
Why?
look so good right now.
Thank you so much. So do you. Thank you. Oh my God. Stop. So. 160.
Who's next, Ben? Or no, Devin?
Love life later.
What was that?
We'll fix your love life later.
Yay!
Next comes Devin, who I think there's one word a lot of people use to describe Devin. Devin's very aware of his game, and he played a very Devin Withers-like game in this season.
Yeah, I think Devin was really good at what he did. Definitely was running around, setting up mouse traps everywhere. Even though he was the mouse, he was the rat. And I don't know, like Devin, I always wanted to work with him. I always just wanted him to be honest with me. And if he gave me honesty, I would have given him my everything, which we kind of got to towards the end. But honestly, I think 5th place was the perfect spot for Devin. Yeah, Devin he's sweet. I know he means well, but he is a little rat. He's a snake. And I think he started to own it a little bit too much at the end, and that's why he was perceived as such a threat. Otherwise, I feel like he could have hit it more as he was for a while.
Sorry, just setting up.
And snake is the word I was talking about because he is the
snake or rat. Yeah, the slithers. Yeah, I know. They did it on every post. The fucking snake emoji. Eat my ass, Devin.
Yeah, so I think that obviously I think Devin was my closest ally in the game, and I did really like working with him, and I was always upfront and honest with him. I was upfront and honest with a lot of people, but Devin more so. I trusted him with a lot of information, And when it got down to it, he was probably my number one pick to take in the end. No offense, Eddie, but just because I think we played very not similar games, but I was obviously I think a little more trusting with other people's information, and I think I was a little more smart with other people's information. I think that him voting out, flipping on Emily was I don't get that. I didn't get that. I still don't get it.
No, you're right to think that because I think the same thing. That was a dumbass move.
And it's just like I get it. You live and you learn with moves like that. But if he just would have stuck to the plan, I think it would have been. I think he would have made it farther. I think he would have. And we had a plan. Unfortunately, it didn't go the way we wanted it to, and Devin was eliminated. But yeah, I think that he is a really good player. He was good at what he did. I think he just got a little too loose with the lips, and I think that's what got him in the end, and why he was eliminated. So, unfortunately, I didn't want to see him go. I really liked working with him, and he was kind of like my bro, but I think if he continues to play games like this, he's going to be really good, and hopefully learn from it. And that's that. Love you, Dev.
Then we moved to another newbie who played really strongly this season. We thought early on we would see him closer to the end of the game, and then got taken out by his final two. Rocky was another interesting vote.
Ben, I said it from the beginning in my confessional, asked Nicole and Matthew, because I've been talking about how I said this from the beginning, but we did a live confessional round 1, and the only question Nicole had for me was, out of night 1, who is going to make it to the end? And I said Ben, and I said Devin. And 4th and 5th, Ben played an amazing game, especially as a newbie. He found a shield. He was social, but he wasn't perceived as to be overly social. He was good in competitions. Like, Ben is just a good fucking player, and Ben had that resume upon resume on why he should win, and he should be damn proud of the game he played. But Ben is a gem, and I love him. One of the fewer people I actually enjoyed getting to know from this game.
Yeah, I think Ben was a awesome player. He was a really nice guy, really cool to get to know too. He was really easy to talk to. You immediately just trusted him. Just his demeanor, the way he was very calm, cool, and collective at always. He was like an incredible player. Unfortunately, it got down to it. I was supposed to be in a final 3 with him and Devin. That didn't. When that vote came out that he turned against Devin, I knew that it was like, okay, well, I thought that was the end of my game as well. And I get it. He was doing what was best for him. He was doing a game move, but it was just one of those things where his resume, and I think it helped. I think it helped me where his resume was so good that, I mean, it would be stupid not to evict him. But I think that he's an incredible player, and I can't believe this is his first time playing. If you compare the newbies, yikes. Wow, Ben, very good. But I have all the respect in the world for him as a person, as a player. He honestly is like a super genuine guy, a super nice guy, and he's great. He really is great. So I really enjoyed getting to know him.
Another person we heard all season, even from you two, was someone we can't let get to the end, was Rocky. For similar reasons, I think.
I honestly just think Rocky was the right person to go at 3 because me and Patrick both kind of lacked in the social department. Rocky was very social with everyone. He played a hell of a game. We were friends before this, but we weren't like friends that talk every day. It was just like, hey sis, how you been type of thing here and there. So when we played together, I think this was our chance to actually play together. Um, and I think we did do that because we were with each other since round one with Jess. And Rocky played a hell of a game and he should be proud. And that's why he was so emotional with the loss, because I think he knows how well he played. And he should get credit for how well he did. Um, I did not expect Rocky to sneak away to the end, but maybe Emily leaving for him was the only person that was smart for. But did he flip? I don't know. Maybe Adam flipped. But really, I think Rocky knew me losing my two closest allies meant I was going to cling to him. And that's why he took advantage of his relationship with me at that point in the game. And I think it was smart on his part for doing that. But yeah, Rocky played a really great game. Love you, Rocky. Kisses.
Yeah, I think Rocky played an extremely good game, and I think even in my confessionals, I thought the biggest threats were Rocky and Eddie. I thought they both played extremely social games. And Rocky just um, he could just go on about, hey, I trust you. He really was a loyal guy, from what I know. But he was another guy where it was like he reached out to me. He was one of the first people to reach out to me, first people to get on call with me. Always wanted to talk game. I always wanted to see where my head's at. Always would take your opinions in. Even though he had his own agenda, he would listen. And I think that's where he got how far he got was he took other people's advice. Although he was an emotional player, I think people respected that, and I think that people saw how passionate he was about the game, um, and just respect. And I respect it because he did really play a great game. He was a really nice guy to talk to, a really great guy to get to know, and he's smart. He's a very good competitor. He's very smart. He's an animal. But and he's one of those guys where if he's upset, he's gonna let you know, and I respect the hell out of that. Not a lot of people do that, and I was always upfront with Rocky, except for I think the one time that I lied in this game was Final Five, and it sucked doing it because we were on call and we were going through scenarios, and I was manning him, and it was tough because he's always been upfront with me. And I've always been upfront with him, and having to do that was really tough because I have so much respect for him, but I had to. And then when it blew up in my face, again, he reached out. I thought my game was toast. He reached out. He was like, "Hey, let's move on from this," and you know, I really respected that. And he was going to do whatever it took to get to the end, and I think Eddie saw that. And I think Eddie made the right move with cutting him at 3, just because he's just a really good player, and I have a lot of respect for him, and hopefully I can play with him in the future. But again, I don't have enough nice words to say about Rocky.
So this last one goes a little bit different since Eddie did win the final 3 comp. We'll let him talk a little bit about Patrick, and then Patrick, if you can just sum up your experience in maybe 1 or 2 words of what Ascendance was for you.
I always was like honest with Patrick, and Patrick knows that. We kind of had our own little like reflection the other night after the live night, but I never like closed the door on wanting to work with Patrick because I could tell Patrick meant well and that he was more straightforward in what he thought and what he believed in. I mean, he was closer to other people, obviously, so we couldn't really be on the same page all the time. But I never think me and you were actively going against each other, unless Final Five, maybe, when if I don't win, I go home. But yeah, no, I love playing with Patrick. I just wish we got to talk more.
Yeah. So I say I can talk about Eddie. Yes. Okay.
No, talk about what Ascendance meant to you.
Oh, Ascendance. What Ascendance meant?
And then after that, we'll talk about Eddie, so you can go right into that.
I'm going to talk about Eddie either way. But Ascendance for me, I absolutely had no idea what to expect, even though I saw Duke play and I saw some of the challenges, and I was so excited to get started. It was just this entire process was a lot more emotional, a lot more personal than I thought it'd be. It was extremely fun. Like I can't get over how fun this game was. Just and although a lot of my attention was at school and work and rehearsal, it was always fun to hop on call during lunch or see where everybody's heads at because this like I live for stuff like this. And actually like watching Big Brother, I'd be like, I could if I were in that situation, let me see how I would get it. And I got to actually do that. And it has just been so fun doing this and playing this. I just wish I could have competed a little bit more, maybe won a few more conversations. But Ascendance was honestly one of the funnest things I've ever done.
Really quick, I just want to say, hold on. Patrick, also as a newbie, making it to the end, I've already told him this too, like, it don't happen a lot, so enjoy the moment, especially when you come into the game with a fucking twin. Like, you are in the final for a reason, and I think your story arcs, like, come full circle.
And I obviously can't thank Eddie enough for everything. Taking me here and choosing me to sit next to him. Honestly, and I've said this from the beginning, Eddie is one of the best competitors. There were times where it was like, okay, if I don't know, they were like, who's your target? I was like, I never targeted Eddie, but I always knew that you were such a good player and you and Rocky too, but like you especially, hopping on call with you, I could talk to you for hours. Just because you're one of those people where it's like you listen, you're a very active listener, you're a very like smart individual, you know what you want, and I respect the hell out of that. And you just had a different element from all these other players where it was just like you adapted so well to many different situations. Like your two closest allies leaving, you know, that should be like a pin. Like I'm done. My two closest allies are done. But you did such a good job adapting and not letting that phase you enough. And so that's why you're here, because you're an amazing competitor, you're an amazing social player, and you adapt really well to all these situations. So those are my words on Eddie, and he is a whole meal. Look at this guy. Oh my goodness. Stop
it.
So yes, that is what I have to say about Eddie.
And Eddie, if you could just say a little bit about Ascendance experience for you.
The thing is like, one, I wasn't even supposed to play this season. Like, I didn't really expect it. So coming to this game, when I wasn't really paying attention to it at first, I didn't understand what was really happening. But once I understood how the game was working, I was kind of like, fuck, this is cool. And I started to get more involved, started to put my foot out there more, talking to new people instead of relying on just my relationship with Jess and Rocky at the beginning. I wanted to show that I could talk to more people, and it's been a hell of a fucking ride. That's what I'll say. I just feel like Patrick was saying it, like, I think adaptability in this game is the biggest thing you need, and just needing to make a new plan every single round, because the last round could have fucked up something so major. Was just the fun in it all is that it never stopped. And even when you get burned out, you have to fucking keep going. So, yeah, it was a lot of fun. I loved it.
Production will just say we were really pleased with the activity level of you guys, the commitment to trying the challenges and competing, and always being civil. Even when people were calling each other out, there was never any name calling or insulting
Like
or
personal attacks, yeah.
Yeah. So Ascendance is really big on that. We don't allow that. We've booted people from calls when stuff like that happens. So I just respect you both. You both were in a lot of drama this season, but it was a good, clean, fun drama. Um, and so we just appreciate you guys, and especially taking this 54 minutes that I thought would be. Um, you had nothing to say compared to Patrick, so I was happily pleased to see that we spent a little bit more time. This will go live tonight after the vote, so no one will see any of this till after a winner's crown. I'm going to stop recording so we can get set up, but I'm going to stop now and then let Matthew tell you kind of how tonight's going to go.
All right.